let's say, with one vegan product and two non-vegan products, all right? When you buy one vegan product, you are giving them profit, and you are increasing the demand for vegan products, all right, at the same time.
Yep.
They have to resupply that same product.
Mm-hmm.
Then let's say they are going to expand the market. Oh, they have enough money to make another market.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think they are going to stock the shelves?
Yeah, they're gonna stock the
same.
shelves with the things that people are gonna buy. Why do you think we're spending eons every single day trying to make as many vegans as possible? So that those vegans go and buy from markets the things that they are then gonna restock.
This is literally supply and demand that you're fucking denying. Holy shit.
If they are making money and
they are going to restock that vegan product, but that doesn't mean that they're going to use that profit to just restock it.
We don't care.
They're going to just...
We don't care.
Oh
Wait.
my god.
We don't care.
Then you don't care your profit is...
You know why I
then you
don't care? Because
that
there
your
is
profit
literally... Hey, you know why we don't care? Because there is literally no way to spend your money right now that is not going to go to a non-vegan person. That's why we're spending our time to make as many people vegan as possible. That's it.
Well, this is like saying if you buy a product online, you could be financially supporting a pedophile, creating a new server with terabytes full of child porn. This is literally no ethical consumption under capitalism argument. Holy shit.
The answer of this question was as simple as that you just have to create stores where there are only vegan food and support those stores to give them profit to expand those stores that are only selling vegan food.
Do you understand the argument that I just presented, that your whole, you're relying on? Your entire argument?
Yeah, why are you paying for pedophiles? Those pedophiles are gonna go home and buy porn with it. Child porn.
Wherever you spend money, there will always be some kind of unethical thing happening. Doesn't matter where. But what's really important
But you know that there is unethical thing happening and you are still doing it.
Can I actually talk, or do you want to rape my ears with your voice and prevent me from talking?
Oh my god, your ears are so...
Dude.
Would you like to continue talking over me, or can I talk?
Continue. I don't want to talk to a person who's get raped by the voice of others.
Then fucking leave.
Well, I'm literally trying...
There you go.
Wow!
Finally, somebody listens to me. God damn it.
Yeah, so the whole argument's no ethical consumption under capitalism, which means that wherever you use your money, someone can do something unethical from your perspective. When you buy, let's say, car tires, someone can use that money to buy some really fucked up child porn or whatever, right? But what's really important is the supply and demand, the way you use your money. If you're buying a car tire because your car, is broken, then you're sort of showing the car industry that, hey, keep making more tires because maybe in the future I'll need an extra tire because my tire broke. So you're voting with your money.
Yeah, it's an appeal to futility fallacy. It's blah, blah, blah. Anyways.
I don't think it's a utility. It's just ethical consumption under capitalism kind of argument.
Unethical consumption under capitalism is an appeal to futility. It's a different form of it, I think.
I guess so, yeah.
I think he just wasn't getting the supply and demand thing.
Yeah.
I explained to him multiple times, but he just still
Lalo, by the way, your mic is very low, I think.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Okay. Yo, Ape.
Hey.
You're back. We basically told him that his argument was there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. He said, no, it's not. And then we literally explained how it is. And then when he kept interrupting me, I told him to stop raping my ears, and he just complained about that and left.
Oh god, you weren't gonna. I mean, it was a noble try. You guys weren't gonna get anywhere with that guy. But sometimes I applaud y'all's patience because I very much do not have the temperament as patience as some of you guys have to entertain those convos.
But we literally explained that yes, there is no perfect ethical consumption under capitalism, but with supply and demand, you make choices towards the ethical consumption.
Correct. And that's like not that different from so many other arguments. I think we've even had some of them today. I'll just never wrap my head around, especially when we so bluntly confront it. Like this notion that, vegans aren't perfect either. You guys still have some death and environmental damage. It's like, okay, but what does that have anything to do with what we're talking about? Like, just because I can't be a perfect angel that gets my nutrients from the sun, where I can just like roll out of my ear flaps some solar panels, and just exist, just because I can't do that has absolutely nothing to do with my moral obligation to do better when I can. And by the way, in order to get to that future where I can have those solar panels come out of my ears, where I don't have to, kill anything, the only way we even could get there is to start being vegan and caring about it, because that's what's going to vote and push and incentivize us to even get to that future in the first place.
Yeah. Did you hear a new progression in lab-grown meat, where there is a company they're trying to make a photosynthesizing meat so that it doesn't need like serum, growth serum or anything else. It's just gonna fucking grow like a fucking plant. Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, some of the preliminary data that I'm showing in the material science advancements of that field, quite honestly, are showing a lot of promise in terms of a environmental future, to the point where potentially, as that material science and scale could come in front of it, that could be even more ethical than eating lentils at some point, But
I have a question. Because like when it comes to like lab-grown meat, it's like I know that the market is very small in terms of that. But Post, I have a question for you, since you may read a little bit more. What about like lab-created organs, especially for like organ replacements?
I think it's like more difficult, because I think like I don't know much about it, but when I talked to like people who are like doctors and surgeons and stuff like that, and like researchers that said it's probably going to be impossible. You probably need like a body to grow those organs in, and the way they're now trying to like implant pig hearts that were growing pigs into humans. It fails every single time. They keep trying it, those fucking bastards.
I know people use like pig hearts or whatever, and they also have to take tablets or something. It's just no matter what happens.
Can I also just add, as I'm thinking about it, before I lose the thought on this same notion, as I'm thinking about it, this is a good point too. Even on the point of like lab-grown meats and the material science advancements around there, it's like this infrastructure we're building, it doesn't have to then just be pigeonholed and applied to just making meat. Like we could synthesize and make other products. It doesn't have to stay within the confines, right, of just, meat tissue. If we're able to do that, we're able to also do it in a even in a plant-based way. And I think the only emphasis is on that is just trying to pander to a market that already exists, but not the market that should still be there,
I'm really waiting for precision fermented tomato. I really want to buy into that shit.
Hell yeah. That's the real future, right? Like, that's the thing. It goes beyond even that. It's like, if we're developing that, it's like we also are developing the capability of doing it even with plants. So why would I still want that just applied, or just accept the future of it being, lab-grown meats, when I can have lab-grown plants, Like, if we're having that technology, we could just do that, and that's still better than eating, lab-grown, pig butthole. It's still better,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's less gross, first of all.
And by the way, it's already the lab-grown meat research already is like helping the development, like helping to change things in the regular medical research. Like, for instance, I think the growth serum is definitely gonna, like the lab-grown meats are developing like non-bovine growth serum. I think if they're successful, it's definitely gonna be replacing in medical science.
Definitely. And those are amazing things, and that's stuff we should champion and push for,
Yeah,
I guess I was just pointing out that it's like, even when it comes to dietary decisions, like the potential future of that and championing the good that future can bring, is also, again, why veganism is important, because that can also, channel the focus, into even plant-based, lab grown tomatoes, or whatever. This is like there's no end to that, and it still brings into the point again, even devoid of that, where you have lab grown meat could be very ethical. I still wouldn't view that as more ethical than lab grown plants, because we're still commodifying, flesh when we don't have to if we have that same technology.
I don't know about that. If the flesh wasn't taken off an actual living animal, I don't think there would be like a moral difference between the two.
No, I would agree. It would become more of just philosophical or psychological, right? Like my position would just be, if we have the material means to do that, right? Then we could expend that also in a form and in a place, that is less psychologically desensitized in terms of consumption of like meat tissue, right? I guess is the point. It becomes more psychological and like, which is a bit harder to quantify, right? But I do think it's still an important discussion to some extent, but let's get to that future first, then we can have that conversation. But I can very much see, when we get to that place, the conversation then being, well, we have the means to be able to do this, so we have the means of being able to also do it in another way. I mean, what's better psychologically, socially, in terms of like how we identify with our food and the familiarity of that towards life, right? And the context in which we understand it, right? In flesh and the commodity of it, if that makes sense.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna disagree a little bit. I think even today, when people eat the literal slaughtered animal, I think that a little bit disconnected from the fact that it's like used to be a sentient animal, that it's flesh. I think when it's like totally, completely disconnected, would it even like matter? It would be like a plant.
Yeah.
It would be like...
I agree with you in many respects, 100%. I don't disagree with that logic whatsoever. I'm reaching. The only thing I could then find, because, like I'm just speculating. It's still a future I want and would champion, but I'm just wondering how, if we move into that world, how that also could affect the psychological and philosophical discourse and how we then relate to that situation, and then how we want to advance that maybe into the future,
Yeah, I think like people who are like pathologists and surgeons might, well, those people are sick. I know them personally. Only one of them is vegetarian. But like when you cut out a part of a human body, it just looks like flesh. It just looks like fucking barbecue. That's it.
Right.
So like, I guess
that's kind of what I mean.
Yeah.
Like the deeper psychological desensitizing element, because like that moves the goalpost so much, like beyond just like that's so much better of a future than the one you and I are fighting and grappling with right now. So like, that future discourse is beyond me or my ability to really coherently have it, apart from it just being abstract. But I do wonder that once we get into that future, that terrain, how the philosophical discourse may move into just like a deeper conversation of identity and how we identify with consumption and commodity and food, and how that then relates and could desensitize us or not, for example, and how we view the value of it and the package it's in, beyond just like the ethics that we're concerned with right now. But I think we won't have to worry about those constraints. We'll worry about maybe the goalposts will move to a different place we can't fully even conceptualize that could also afford benefits. You know what I mean?
Kinda. We'll need you to say more words about it. It just feels
like I guess coming down to like what you said, right? In some ways, where you said like you could cut a chunk out of a human and like it just looks like barbecue, right?
Yeah.
I think there may be something deeper and kind of important to that, right? There is a form in which this nutrient in food that's also in that has a sense of like psychological connection to like commodity and food that we have because of the way we necessarily have to look at it now, where in the future, if we're able to make lab grown plants and also obviously lab grown meat and for our dietary needs, and it's efficient, and we've removed a lot of these ethical constraints that you and I are fighting right now.
Yeah.
In that future, when we then have those two products, like lab grown plant and lab grown lamb chop, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder then, could there be, and it seems to me intuitively there is, a further moving of the philosophical discussion that could be important in terms of how we then also commodify and view the package of that food and how that could psychologically affect the way we look at each other and look at consumption, where there could be, I could see an argument for, a deeper connection of value of the human condition and living conditions just in general by valuing a form that is, less desensitized or where it's less normalized to be in a form that's familiar to even our own body, I guess, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to articulate because I've never thought about this as deep.
No, I do know what you mean.
Do you get the inkling of what I'm touching on?
Of course, yeah, I think so. I think I get it. But then the point becomes like, what if you deform it? What if you make a chicken nugget? Then it's completely disconnected.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no issue, right?
Of course. Well, maybe, yeah. I would agree with you at face value. But then I wonder if, again, there could be maybe room for, as that goalpost moves so far into that position, that there could be some further, advancements also in psychology and consumption and, just all the little tiny ways that we are desensitized or normalized in our relationship in the package and delivery of it and the texture of it, of consumption, and how that could maybe potentially have an argument for how we see value of life in its form and in I don't know. You know what I mean? I think there's something maybe there, but I don't think I can fully conceptualize it.
Here's the thing.
Hello guys. How are you doing? I like eating meat.
Oh, thank you, Truth. So I think there is potentially a category error there, though. You know what I mean? It could hurt
I get what
some.
You're saying, yeah.
Yeah, it could hurt some feelings for sure. It hurts some feelings now. There are some vegans who are oh my God, you are eating a plant burger. What are you, a carnist?
Right.
Yeah, but then it would be
No, I agree.
What are we talking about? Are we talking about a muscle on a molecular level?
Right.
Is that the problem?
Yeah.
What if that muscle doesn't look like a steak? What if it just looks like a weirdo green brick for some reason, right?
Or make it look like a tomato somehow.
Yeah, there is this dude on the YouTubes. He does it incredibly immorally. He uses both bovine growth serum and other things, but he takes a leaf of or a strawberry, and he turns them into meat, right? So he impregnates the cells with meat, and then he feeds it growth serum, and then it becomes this meat strawberry. So the question then becomes, well, how far are we going? If it's if in the future you could have a meat strawberry and it's not called meat and it doesn't look like meat and it's green for some reason, what are we on the philosophical level, what are we even talking about? So on the logical level,
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah,
I 100% agree with you, but I guess that's the only reason, just for food for thought,
absolutely.
unintended. I think that what it boils down to is something beyond what we would even care to even conceptualize, or has no utility. But I don't know. I guess that the only thing I could possibly say is that I feel intuitively there may be something there that could be interrogated way further down the line, in which that is the case, in which it goes even the needle moves, the form of interrogation even comes down to this package, this form. It could be a strawberry, but it looks like meat, and we made it look like meat. And it's I could maybe potentially see how that, even putting it in that form, even though it is a strawberry and there wouldn't be an ethical issue, the form of ethics would go beyond something we would even ever have the luxury of contending with, because we're contending with much bigger things. Yeah. But it could be that in that reality, there could be some kind of much deeper advancement in the philosophical discourse and a much more coherent argument that could never happen, that is privileged to be able to happen, where you could maybe quantify some kind of psychological and sociological impact in in moral interfacing, between beings and people that could value the form of the strawberry more than the form of the strawberry and the looking like meat. I don't know. You know what I mean? But I don't know, and I don't have to know. That's future people can discuss that, and they only are going to have the luxury to discuss that if we do what we're doing now.
Yeah. The thing is, I think about it like.
A question?
Sure,
ask
John.
a question?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. Alec, you sent a photo about global land use for food production. We can see 29% of our surface is land and 71% is ocean. Okay, so due to